corporate media framed the shooting of Blake as an unarmed, innocent black man being shot by racist white cops for no reason. Blake was armed with a knife, had wrestled with police, and had an arrest warrant for sexual assault. The media keeps stacking absurdities on top of absurdities, and no one wants to take responsibility for the inevitable atrocities. If the jury follows the law and common sense, Rittenhouse will be acquitted this week, and violence will erupt in Wisconsin and perhaps in other parts of America. Much of Voltaire's critique of France was accurate. He died a decade before the French Revolution. The death of America will be the final atrocity caused by the American media's love of absurdity.
Justice doesn't need an adjective in front of it. And what people are trying to do is pull off the blindfold of Lady Justice, which will give us no justice. Justice is the civil magistrate punishing people for crimes. Forget about their race. If you're a white guy and you steal something from a black guy and you're not racist, whatever it was that you stole, you should get justice for that's paying it back. If you're a white racist guy and you stole something, the same thing. It doesn't matter what your race is or if you're racist. People who deal with the racism are the church and the family. People who deal with the justice are the courts. The justice doesn't need an adjective. There is no adjective in front of justice. It is, what did you do? And as long as she keeps on trying to pull the blindfold off of Lady Justice, she will smear justice. We won't get it because Lady Justice is supposed to be able to hear a case and to say, okay, what was it that was done to the individual that was a crime?
People have stopped viewing everyone as an American. We've gotten away from this idea that we're all Americans and we're all due the same rights. We're endowed with those rights, et cetera, et cetera. We've gotten away from that, and now it's about how do you identify? Well, oh, are you on this team or are you on that team? Are you part of my group or are you part of the other group? Well, if you're the opposition, then I've got to use the government against you. You know, I even see people on Twitter, et cetera, every day, people who are criminal justice advocates, who are advocates for prison reform, will be coming out like Hakeem Jeffries, screaming, you got to lock Kyle up and throw away the key. And it's like, wait, aren't you the guy who's always talking about corrupt prosecutions and we need to redo the evidence and we need to look into things, and yet when someone's on the other side, you're going to turn around and say something like that? You're destroying everything that you've ever worked for.
Lil Nas X was announced as the Man of the Year by GQ magazine. Now I could be wrong, Jay, but I know good and damn well I got more votes than this dude, just based on the fact of my manhood alone. Now back in the day, GQ used to stand for Gentleman Quarterly magazine, right? Now I think it should just stand for Godless Queers. You know who we got to blame for this, man? We have no one to blame for this but ourselves, America. Let's not forget, we're the generation that made megastars, made millionaires, made icons out of Prince, Michael Jackson. Let's not forget, Michael Jackson made that transition before it was even fashionable. Okay, he went from a little black boy to an old white woman. Now remember that. Nicki Minaj, we talk about her performance at the awards. But let's not forget about Madonna. Remember back in the day, her rolling around with the wedding gown on, talking about like a virgin handing out more STDs than a trollop.
For instance, when I watch Black Panther and I see that the king of Wakanda is protected by an all-female force. And I know that they're sort of pulling on history. I can't remember what tribe it was, but that actually was, you know, there was a tribe way back in antiquity where that was the case. But I'm saying to myself, why is it, whether it's in Black Panther and Wakanda, whether it's Black Lives Matter, that as a community, we always have black women on the front lines? And that is a complete inversion of the natural order.
Now Lil Nas X is Man of the Year. I think collectively, as Black people, we need to say, hey, we've been in error for a long time. We've pushed the Black man to the back of the line, and now look at what's happening. Look at what's going on. If we can do that, then I think we can come together and then go beyond that. But until we get this family straight, until we allow Black men to lead and take the place like they should, we can't go beyond that. I heard someone say a couple of years ago that Black people won't be satisfied until white people are in chains. They're not going to be satisfied until you have white slaves, because it really does seem like we don't have an end goal. What are we trying to do? Why do we just feel like we've accomplished something when we get to celebrate foolishness in the face of white conservatives? That's not an accomplishment.
You can't legislate holiness. You can't legislate morality. It just doesn't work. You can try, but you can't, right? So that whole abortion debate, to me, is there's degrees of precision, because, you know, we can't make people believe that a baby is God's child more than the baby is our child, right? Or, I used to think it's just a fetus. And 2 women had abortions because of me, before I was a Christian, obviously. And it broke my heart, and it still does. When I realized, when through understanding truth, you realize this is what this is. We're not just blobs of meat. We're not biological beings. We're spiritual beings. We have a creator, and we're co-creators with God.
After a 5-2 start and reaching number 9 in the polls, the Fighting Irish made Charlie Weis the highest paid coach in college football, lavishing the former Bill Belichick assistant with a 10-year, $40 million contract, not a year. After his hot start, Weis lost 25 of his next 55 games at Notre Dame. Notre Dame fired Weis halfway through his groundbreaking 10-year contract. So here we are again. The Detroit Free Press reported yesterday that Michigan State plans to extend the contract of its second-year head coach to the tune of 10 years and $95 million. At an average salary of $9.5 million, Tucker would be the 3rd highest paid coach in college football, trailing only Alabama's Nick Saban and Clemson's Dabo Swinney.
To me, the transfer portal has to be like a protein bar or a protein shake. It's a supplement, okay? You still have to eat real food, okay, 3, 4, 5 times a day. A protein shake or a bar is just that. It's got to fill the gaps here and there, but you can't make it your diet. It's not realistic. If you look at the best programs, Alabama, they had a hole at wide receiver, so they have this kid named Jamison Williams, who's their number 1 receiver. He came from Ohio State, which shows you how deep Ohio State is at that position. He's going to be a first-round pick. They have a linebacker from Tennessee that's starting, very good player. But outside of that, everyone is homegrown. You look at Ohio State, for the most part, they are homegrown. Clemson, when they had their dynastic run, which ended this season, the previous 4 or 5 years, most of their players are homegrown. I'm with you. The transfer portal has to be a part of your roster building.
And as a Laker fan, as a long life Laker fan for a while, after Kobe left, I had to look at the dynamic of why Laker basketball started to decline. And it's because they failed to realize to get solid players like the Warriors. You have to get a solid core of players that can do everything the team needs. They've stacked up on shooters because they have LeBron James pretty much wanting to play the point guard position and to facilitate. But you can't do that with Russell Westbrook. You can't do that with Anthony Davis, wanting the ball the whole time and wanting to play isolation ball. It's just it's a shit show, to be honest. Like, this is not good for them. I'm worried for them because when LeBron James has heat on his back, he abandons ship. So if he feels that he's gonna get the blame for everything that's coming, he's gonna get another injury and he'll be out for a longer period of time.
Okay, we only have so many troops. We only have so many police officers or law enforcement of whatever variation. And the fact that everyday American citizens are able to own firearms is exactly why they can't go door to door and force you to be vaccinated, right? It wouldn't be safe for them to do that. And many of the police officers or law enforcement in this country, they know how many guns are in America, right? There's 5 guns for every person, right? So, and that's also why a foreign power would have trouble coming and invading America on American soil. They may attack us, but to actually come and occupy the ground here in America would be tough to do, because every few blocks they'd be facing random gunfire. People think that the insurgency in Afghanistan is an issue. Let a foreign power try and invade America and go door to door, street to street. They're going to face a volley of gunfire every few blocks.
So I just, to me, this is a good day for men with balls. If you don't have any, it's probably a bad day. If you want to see the rise of the matriarchy, it's probably a bad day for you. If you are someone who hears someone banging at the door in the middle of the night and you think it's criminals trying to break in and rob you, if you're the type of person who would get out of bed and bring your woman with you to go see who's at the door, it's probably a bad day, because you ain't got balls. You're not really a man. You're a coward.